It's the most spookiest time of the year. Hey listeners, hope you're doing well. Today is a special episode of Hello Nihon. We're going to be doing 3 individual stories about horror?
Spooky.
Perfect. So, we have 3 different stories. One is a real life story, one is an urban legend, and one is a story that one of us came up with. Listen carefully, and can you guess which one is which? First, we'll start with Ehab's story. Ehab, Gozo.
Alright. The title to the story is The Alluring Castle. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom with the most beautiful castle architecture. So beautiful that it caught the attention of many travelers who would stay for the night and enjoy the rich and tasty food the kingdom's quarters had to offer. The king of this land was known as Calvaria. He was rich in gold, strong, and very tall. The people of the land loved him. The people of the land were very kind and always smiling. One day, a knight from a far land who went by the name Victor had been venturing for days, decided to rest somewhere nearby. He could see a castle from a distance. Such an alluring castle could be a good place to rest and stock up, he said. It was around evening when he arrived at the castle. The guards welcomed him and said, "Welcome to the Alluring Kingdom. We hope you enjoy your stay." Victor was amazed by how beautiful the architecture was and found himself gazing for hours. "I've never seen such beauty in my life," he said. It turned night and things started to get dark. Once it had turned night, the place became dark as the fires that lit the place went out and the sound of giant doors being slammed shut could be heard. The residents of the kingdom had also disappeared. "What's happening? What happened to the lights?" Other visitors said. Shouting from a distance can be heard. "Ah!" Everyone was scared, and the sound of footsteps getting louder and closer could be heard. The footsteps made a bone-like clicking sound that made everyone's spine shiver into complete fear. Victor was nowhere to be seen. The footsteps were those of the locals, who were in fact undead skeletons serving under Calvaria. The skeletons had big red eyes. When gazed at by the human eye, the person becomes a skeleton and a servant of Calvaria. Moments later, all travelers who had entered the castle that day had turned into skeletons, all except for Victor. Victor was at the top of the castle, the castle's highest tower, still gazing at the beauty of the scenery, completely unaware of what had happened below, as he could not see nor hear what had happened below. Completely lost in the kingdom's beauty, he hears footsteps coming up the stairs. The footsteps get closer and closer. A bone-clicking sound can be heard as a tall figure with a king's crown can be seen coming out from the dark, unlit stairs. Victor feels a shiver down his spine. The figure becomes clear. It is Calvaria, a tall golden skeleton figure with big purple eyes. Victor is frightened, but draws his sword and shield. With a strike at Calvaria, the sword shattered. With a strike from Calvaria, the shield also shattered. Victor was at the edge of falling from the tower as he gazed one more time at the beauty of the castle and jumps off. "Death is nothing but a mere beautiful fate we all must face," Victor says moments before falling to his death. The kingdom collapses. Calvaria and his servants all turn to ashes. A century later, archaeologists discovered the ruins of the alluring castle and found a unique skull that had been preserved in what seemed to be a knight's helmet. The words Pulchra Sacrificium were engraved on the skull. In Latin, it means beautiful sacrifice. The skull was then examined and discovered to be that of Victor, the sole human to survive the curse of Calvaria through a beautiful sacrifice for humanity. The end.
Nice. Yeah.
Wow.
That was good.
So was that the real story?
We don't know.
We'll
Was that
never
the real
know.
know.
That's it. Okay, so what did this castle look like? Was it hot?
What do you mean by hot? Like temperature-wise?
Because alluring to me
Uh-huh.
is like,
Alluring, it means like it's so attractive, it's so beautiful that it brings the attention to the eyes of a person. So the
Okay.
architecture is like of this castle was basically, how can I say, out of this world, unimaginable or never seen before, and that's what brought people's attention to this castle whenever they passed by.
That's really cool. Okay, so all of the people there were skeletons?
Yeah, so basically, when people would go there in the daytime, they would see them as regular humans, but when it turned nighttime, they were in fact just undead skeletons working under Calvaria.
Were they happy?
They were happy, or what seemed to be happy in the daytime.
If you turn into one, is that still you who becomes the servant, or is that just your skeleton that becomes the servant? But your mind goes off somewhere else. Let's say heaven or hell or
Yeah, it's a deep question, but I would say for the story, basically, when the person gets attacked by a skeleton,
Yeah.
they basically disappear from this world, and their skeleton becomes a servant to Calvaria, and it's not their actual conscious.
and Ehab, you know this from reading the archaeological papers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, yeah. Not like you're making it up.
You never know. This could be the true story, or it could be an urban legend. We don't know.
heck, I believe it.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So
Wait,
our second
very
story.
quick question. This is important
Oh,
stuff.
what's up?
So, from the time the guy jumped until they found his body,
Yeah.
what happened to all of the skeletons that were there?
Okay, yeah. That's a good
Did
question.
they turn to ash?
Yeah, I said they turn into ashes because basically he broke the curse by not becoming a servant to Calvaria, because every person that goes there at night, Calvaria has he has his servants basically attack them and make them into his servants, but he was the only one to die at his own hands and not by any skeleton.
That makes
so he
sense.
didn't become a servant.
Okay.
So that broke the curse.
Nice.
He was the Jack Sparrow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alright, on to our second story.
Okay, it's my turn. Here we go. So, I guess it's like the tale of Teke Teke.
Okay.
Okay.
And that'll make sense to the English speakers when we get there. So, it involves this high school girl who is very quiet and keeps to herself. And shame on her for doing that. That brought some bullies to her. I always hate how the stories do that. Just leave the quiet people alone, my god. Anyway, she's waiting for a train, and these three bullies decide to play a prank on her. One grabs a cicada, and they decide to put it on her shoulder.
Oh my god.
When they do that, she looks over, and she freaks out, falling down onto the train platform, where she gets cut in half by the oncoming train. So, the boys decide to never talk about this ever again, because, they committed murder. But on their way back home, they hear this, clicking. The Japanese onomatopoeia is like, tick, 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 tick.
Oh.
Yeah. It's this loud noise, and it's following them. So one of them gets really scared, and they decide to book it. And when they book it, they turn back, and they see this half of a torso just, tearing apart his two friends he left behind.
Oh my god.
And that ticka was the long nails of this, I don't know, half undead torso. I don't want to say running because it's not running. Hand sprinting towards them. So, what ended up happening was when they went to the crime scene, all they could find was the legs of the dead girl
Oh.
because the torso was missing. And now the urban legend is that if you're ever like around a train station and you hear like clickety clacking or tickety tacking, you got to go. You have to run because that's Teke Teke coming to get
Is
you.
that an urban legend that says that, or is that Clayton's?
Who knows? The end. Some say she's still out there.
Stay away from trains.
My God, yeah. And don't be a dick.
That's fair.
That's like the easiest thing to do.
Be nice.
Right. Don't trick people and have them fall down to their deaths.
That is
Yeah.
not the move.
That's the moral of the story.
I have a question. Do you know what kind of cicada was it? Was it a mean cicada? I'll just joke.
I don't know what that means.
Because there's different kinds. I was just joking.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No,
Uh,
that was the kind.
I've heard this story before, and like it's very interesting because like I feel like a lot of I wouldn't say a lot, but I feel like Japanese people know about this story.
There's 2 movies about it. I thought that was interesting.
Clayton,
Other
Yeah.
movies.
What?
your story became a movie?
Ah, I mean, yeah. They licensed it, and yeah. I'll just delete that.
No, it's okay. Just keep it going. I think
Okay.
it's funny.
But yeah, there was 2 movies that I directed and wrote, and they were released in Japanese
That's really
cinema
cool.
scenes.
I
and,
didn't hear
you
anything
know,
about that.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, it totally happened in Hokkaido.
Oh my god.
Out in the
Right.
snow.
She's just running in the snow. She must have frostbite.
Not running, handstand sprinting.
Handstand sprinting with frostbite.
Lordy. Story over. Christian, what you got
Alright.
for us?
So my story is titled, But I'm Just a Teacher. So every summer, there is usually like a huge influx of ALTs that come over to Japan to teach. And ALTs, for those of you who don't understand, it's assistant language teacher. And like there's programs like JET program and other programs where they kind of like set you up in like a board of education and you get it and you start like working at a school as a teacher. And so one of the exciting parts about these programs is you're basically going from your country to Japan and you don't know what part of the country you're going to be working in. And so when all of the locations come out, people are like, oh, I got Tokyo, I got Kyoto, I got Hokkaido. It's always kind of an exciting, I guess, mixed feelings, kind of the right way to say it, because some people are really happy with their location. Some people aren't so happy with their location. And for today's story, it's about an ALT who was not happy with his location. So for those of you who don't know, Japan is made up of thousands of islands, but there's only 4 main islands that people usually talk about. Honshu, Hokkaido, Shikoku, Kyushu.
Hokkaido represent.
For example, one of us lives in Honshu, one of us lives in Hokkaido, and one of us lives in Shikoku. Like, they're all pretty close. But you also have places like Okinawa that are not on the main island, and it's a couple hour flight from the main island to get to Okinawa. But this ALT, he didn't get Honshu, he didn't get Hokkaido, he didn't get Shikoku, he didn't get Kyushu, he didn't get Okinawa. He got a small island in the middle of the ocean that was still technically Japan. There's still like schools and like teachers and people living on the little small island that he got placed around. But the thing that made his island so unique was that it was actually a cat island. And so in Japan, they have like different islands that you could take a boat to. There's like Fox Island, there's Cat Island, there's Monkey Island. Have you guys ever been to anything like that or heard anything like that?
I've heard
Isn't
of
Monkey
them.
Island a video game? It is, right?
Is it?
Oh, Monkey Ball.
You have a monkey ball, yeah.
No, I don't know. No, I haven't, Christian.
I've heard of them, but I've never been there.
Yeah, so Japan has all kinds. And he got placed on a cat island. And I mean, he didn't mind it because he liked cats. But anyways, so he wasn't all that thrilled about moving to that little island because it's so far from Tokyo. It's so far from civilization. It's just going to be him and a couple other people living in that area, like students and Oba-chan, Oji-chan, like old people. He wasn't too thrilled about it, but he still decided to go because he thought it would be a great experience for him to kind of immerse in Japanese culture, even if it's island culture. And so he gets there. and he just felt like one bad thing's happening after another. He gets the bad location. He's trying to get on the plane to fly over to the island, and he's getting delays, and he's going through like hurricanes, and it's all kinds of just really bad stuff, like day after day. And then so he had to fly from America to Japan, and then Japan to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to the southernmost part of the island, and then from that island he had to take a boat. He had to take a boat to the island
From
that he was going to live
Okinawa?
on.
Like the ferry was from
And
Okinawa?
so it wasn't Okinawa. It was from
Yes.
Kyushu to the island that he had to live on. And so he gets on the island after riding this little boat for like 20 hours.
Ew!
Yeah. And like there's like the title, there's just cats everywhere. And so he gets to his apartment, he has his luggage and stuff like that. And it's like a teacher guiding him to his house. And when they get there, they were really surprised with how torn up the house was. Apparently there was another ALT who lived there before him, but yeah, like, you know, he went home, and now this guy was coming in to take his place. And so this place is just torn up. And I'm talking like he had like a squatty potty toilet,
Oh
like the
my
kind that you
God.
have to squat.
What? In
He
a
had
house? No.
Yeah.
That's the
And,
real
like,
horror story.
The paper sliding doors, they were all torn up. And he had like old futons with like stains and stuff on it. There's just trash everywhere in the apartment. Like the guy that lived there before him clearly did not take care of this place. It was really bad. Like there was just like unnecessary trash and old computers and all kinds of stuff. Just like the worst possible thing. And if you've been to Japan, you know that like you can't just throw all that stuff away. You have to pay for like a recycle company to take that stuff. And so he was not happy because he was told that he was gonna have a futon to sleep on, and it was just stained and just disgusting. And then just all throughout the day, he hears like meowing sound, meowing sound, meowing sound, and it was starting to get annoying. And so on that first night, he's like, you know what? I hate this apartment, but I'm here, so let's just, you know, live through it. And then that first night, he wakes up at 3 a.m. to a cat meowing. And he's like kind of looking around the apartment. It's a little dark, and he can't find the cat. But he's just like, oh, you know, it's just a cat, whatever. I'm just going to go back to sleep. Next day, he gets up, goes to work, does whatever he does, comes back home, gets ready for bed, goes to bed, and goes to sleep. And that next morning, at 3 a.m, he hears that cat sound again. So he gets up and he's looking for it, and he can't find it. And he's like, where is that cat noise coming from? At first he thought it was coming from outside, then from down in the kitchen, like almost like it was moving around, but he couldn't really tell, and he was just too tired to care, so he just went back to bed. And that third night, when he wakes up to the cat meowing, he gets a little anxious, so he goes onto his social media, and he does like a live, what do you call it? Like a live video, so all of his friends and followers and whatever can see what's going on. A live stream, that's the word. And so he walks downstairs, turns on the light, and, you know, he's doing his little live stream thing, and people are slowly creeping in the live stream like, hey, you know, oh, this is the place you're living in. Everyone was just like super shocked with how terrible his place was. And then he goes downstairs, and then he thinks he hears the cat noise from the front door on the outside. So he opens the door, like he slowly starts opening the door, and everybody in the live stream is like, almost like panicking because he's explaining the situation to him. And the second he opens the door, he hears another like meow sound in a really deep voice. And then from that point, the live stream just cuts off, and everybody's like, wait, what just happened? So that was actually the last time anybody's ever heard from him on social media. He stopped going to school the next day, and nobody knows what happened to him even to this day.
What?
I'm sorry. So did the person who lived there just murder that ALT? Is that what's happening?
It could have been a cat, could have been him. He could have just moved to another island and didn't say anything. Who knows?
Wow.
I don't like that story. That's horrible.
That is kind of
Oh
scary.
my gosh. That's a good story.
We know which one's the real one, though.
Yeah, mine.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Has
What was the island?
Yeah,
It's
I was
just
gonna
some
say, what was the
small
island?
cat island in the middle of
I'm
the
sorry.
ocean.
That place must smell horrible.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I'm not really a cat person
No,
myself.
I'm more of a
so-
rat person.
Was there no no news or no information from like the Board of Education there? Like, did they go
I'm
and check or
pretty
anything
sure
like
it
that?
wasn't a big enough deal.
What?
That's a huge deal.
Well, it's like because there's stories of ALTs leaving their company, getting just so fed up with it, and flying back home. You hear those kind of stories all the time without them contacting their school.
But he must have gotten in
Yeah.
contact with them, right?
To be
how
fair
did
to
he-
the island,
Yeah.
that was like 1% of the population just disappeared like that.
Yeah.
You want to keep that under wraps.
There's like only 100 people living there.
You're right.
Honestly, there's some islands with less people. It wouldn't
I would
surprise
not
me if
want to
there's
live
less people
there.
on that island.
Hell
No. 20-hour boat ride? You're funny.
It's 20
you have to
hours?
fly from your home country to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to.
God, that's what he said, a 20-hour boat ride.
It was about 20 hours. It was definitely like sometime between 10 and 20. It was not.
Barf.
Oh my god.
To
What
that.
the heck?
The most unbelievable thing is that on his third day, he had Wi-Fi. The murder I can believe.
The Wi-Fi part.
I mean, he was probably using his phone 4G.
But would you have it out
I mean,
there?
there's a
No.
school. I'm
There's
sure they have
pocket
internet.
Wi-Fi still. Yeah, but he's not at school. He's at home.
Oh yeah, that's true. Who knows?
That's a good story.
That was a
I
good
like
story.
that.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't too long.
No, it was a perfect.
No,
time.
no.
Cool.
Mine was 2 minutes.
It was a good story. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked your story too. Yeah.
Thanks.
They were all good.
Yeah,
Give all.
equally as
Let's
good.
pat ourselves on the back.
To leave the spookiness in the
okay.
air, let's just leave whose story is a legend, who's real, and who made up their story. Let's just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe
yeah.
they're all real.
Maybe they're all real.
Oh, it's not a visual medium. They can't see my face. I said gasp.
I hope everyone's having a good Halloween. Get all that candy. Enjoy wearing the costumes. Enjoy the festivals, friends and family.
Right. Stay safe. Stay away from cats.
Stay away from cats, stay away from trains, stay away from skeletons.
All the normal stuff your parents should have taught you. Come on.
Whatever you are doing for Halloween, how about you let us know? And kind of share your country's culture, or maybe it's just your own culture for what you like to do on Halloween. That'd be really interesting to see what kind of responses we can get.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would say, look both ways when crossing the street. Don't look at cats in the eyes. And if you see a skeleton, you run. Classic.
All right, Clinton, let's wrap things up. Do you have any words for the listeners?
I sure do. Thank you guys for listening to this spooky episode. If you want to, you can find us on social media under Hello Nihon Pod. Don't forget to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. And if you feel like it, please give us a 5-star review. I looked on Spotify and we have 11 reviews. To me, that's amazing. That's super cool.
awesome.
That is,
yeah.
yeah.
Right? I can't see who reviews, so I can't shout you out. If you want to shout out, like DM us or put it on the Instagrams or the Twitters or the other one. But until next time, bye.
Spooky, scary.
I'm a penguin.
Perfect.